Well, welcome everybody to another edition of Let Us Reason Together here on this Monday morning. Or if you're watching in the archives, it's good to have you as well. And this is going to be a great show today. And of all different things, I'm writing the whole thing solo because it's everything has happened at the last minute. So it's all good. We're going to miss Eddie and Tammy Johnson, and because they're headed over to the emergency room to have the doctors take a CAT scan and a look at Tammy's knees. So we're praying for complete healing, recovery, restoration for Tammy, that she'll be able to put full weight on her knee once again. I'm definitely going to miss them this morning. And so it's just me and you. And there we go. Tammy says Boker Tov, y'all. So I'm glad that at least you're online with me, at least that way. Maybe I'll see some of your comments. But yeah, I have a different background today. I have the same background that I used in the war room, but I didn't change it, and it's good. It's just a brick wall, and it has green behind me because it's wintertime. And it's wintertime here. There's not a lot of green in Amarillo, Texas, because it's wintertime. And so anyway, yeah, I agree. Me too. I can understand why you'd much rather be here than there, and healed and walking around and not in pain. And so anyway, but what do we have going on this morning? Of course, we got lots of stuff happening here on the Lamb Network, and part of the Let Us Reason Together, of course, are the shower thoughts that I'm going to be bringing with you here shortly. Got a great Torah portion planned for you today. Going to miss Tammy and Eddie and their take on the Torah portion, Beishalach, because it's a good one. In fact, I was studying it out. I was like, oh, there's so many things in this Torah portion. It's so good. Hopefully we can hit some points today that you will find to be encouraging, inspiring, revelational to you by chance. Maybe some of that and all that together. So that's going to be planned a little bit at the top of the hour. And then, of course, in 1 hour from now, we have the Uncensored News, where we're going to drop the Life of Worship Ministries YouTube channel, and stay here on the Lamb Network and also on Twitch. So you want to just jump over to those platforms and continue watching with us. And so that's good. All right. I have to fix something here to make sure that everything is operating like it's supposed to be operating. Want to make sure that it is. By the way, if you're there on the Life of Worship Ministries YouTube channel, make sure you give us a thumbs up and like, share, subscribe, and let people know about what's going on. And certainly like to have that type of feedback, by the way. And okay, wait a minute. Are we talking about Thauer shot? Thauer shots. Is that a spoonerism? I think that's a spoonerism, or close to it. Thauer shots. Shower thoughts. Oh my goodness. Eddie, Tammy, where are you when I need you to help me out? Okay. No, just kidding. I know you're in the chat. Let's do some shower thoughts for today. Shall we? Of course, I have more shower thoughts here from the desk of Robert Malone. And Dr. Robert Malone, by the way, he's certainly been knocking it out of the ballpark in a lot of different ways. In fact, I was listening I can't even go there because I might hit on some uncensored stuff, and then the YouTube powers that be may give us a strike. I don't want to do that, but it's very interesting. Shall we say, I can't even go there. Dr. Robert Malone, by the way, is really cool. And so this is coming from his Substack and from his weekly emails that I'm on his email list. So, of course, did y'all watch any of the hearings this last week? I mean, well, can we not say who's in the back pocket of big pharma and big military industrial complex? If you watch any of Kash Patel or Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s hearings, or even Tulsi Gabbard can you really see that the division is taking place? And even if you say, well, those are Democrats, they've been lifelong Democrats, and here they are on Trump. I want you to get out of the paradigm of Republican Democrat thing. I'll just get out of the paradigm. This is we are an existential threat against the sovereignty of the United States. And had the prior person been reelected, or the designate been elected, the demise of America would have been completed. And so what are we seeing? It is a fight against the globalists and those that are who are us, the people of the United States. And so you think, well, but they used to be the opposition. That's what they wanted us to think. So honestly, they're here to help. They're here to help, and President Trump has recognized their abilities and see them as the ones that will be the ones that'll help America. So I'm just saying, think of it as not left, right, Republican, Democrat. Think of it as like globalists and those that are truly from people of the United States. And these are people of the United States that are standing up saying, look, we're putting any of these other differences aside. They're minor compared to what this fight and this battle is. So these shower thoughts, like, did you see Elizabeth Warren, question Robert F. Kennedy this week? And so here's a meme here. I haven't seen the Democrats this angry at a Kennedy since 1963. Oh, yeah. Yeah. What was amazing is that they are really, those senators that were really just battling Robert F. Kennedy this week and the others, they are just such actors, two-faced liars and deceivers. It's just, they're protecting their empires. They're protecting the money they've been getting from USAID. Oh, did I say that? Oh, certainly I didn't say that. Yeah, I did. That's maybe more for uncensored news later on. So yeah, that was kind of funny. And so here's another one from the hearings this week. How bad is it? How bad is it? Of course, we have Elizabeth Warren in the background, Bernie there in the front. They know we're owned by pharma. Did you see some of the stuff? Did you see when Bernie says, when Robert F. Kennedy says, every person on this board here takes money from big pharma. And Bernie is the one that had the time. It was his time. And he says, I don't take any money from big pharma. And he says, well, how about to the tune of 1.5 million? Well, and he stumbled across his word. It was hilarious. It was so hilarious. And he's like, well, it was only 1.5 million. I received $200 million from other donors. Bernie, you never worked a day in your life, and you're the voice of big pharma on the Senate. Everybody should see that by now. We knew it, but you gave yourself up. And he was backtracking on X this over the weekend. But wait a minute, that's uncensored stuff. Oh, okay. How about this one here? It's a battle. Yes, it is a battle in the ring, the boxing ring. We have in the middle of the boxing ring of the Senate confirmation, we have the Dems and the referee saying, you knocked yourself out. I think that's it. I think that's a perfect meme of the day. Just completely hilarious is that it's like they're trying to knock out the President Trump's choice. I mean, did any of the Republicans ever do any of this to Biden's Biden's choices in the Senate confirmation hearings? No, not at all. Did they even get any no votes? No, they said, the president has a right to choose whoever he wants. Let's just make sure we're not putting criminals in there. I mean, let's just make sure we don't have any people that are representing another country there. And yet it's the Senate who is representing other countries and representing basically their wallet, and they're seeing the threat, and they are just all up in arms. They did the same thing with Trump first time around. I mean, it's pretty much a straight party line vote. And so you can see exactly where they're coming from. They don't want to remove their inheritance Would I say that? Did I say it? The ability to give an inheritance to their family and their friends and all that sort of stuff. All this big money being stored away in offshore accounts. Well, it's true. It really is. You knocked yourself out. By the way, I need to do something real quick. Y'all stay with me for just a second because I need to pull up the Lamb chat. So if anybody's over in the Lamb chat, I just want to make sure. Network.tv. Because if you're watching, I want to be part of your conversation as well. Lamnetwork.tv. There it is. Okay. Because it's just me. I'm flying solo. And as that is, I hope I didn't lose. Did I lose you? I hope I didn't lose you there. Okay. Wait a minute. Oh, there it is. Pause that. Okay. All right. Okay, cool. All right. Now we're set. All right. So let's go to the next one. And this next one is, there's Robert F. Kennedy again with Bernie Sanders tied up in a straitjacket, and he removes the mask. And who's behind the mask? Pfizer. Brought to you by Pfizer. Bernie, $1.5 million admitted. You had to admit it. It's amazing that Robert F. Kennedy was under oath. Can't lie. Can't lie. I mean, how many times do they say that to the Senate confirmations? Can't lie. And, remember, you're under oath. And Bernie's out there lying, because the senators can lie. They can bring up lies. Their monologues were full of lies. Wait, I'm gonna tell you all this stuff that all these lies. I'm going to bring you all these lies, and then I'm going to have a question at the end, and then I'm just going to say, before you have a chance to answer, well, it seems that you refuse to answer. Did anybody catch that? Oh, let's let it be noted he's refusing to answer the question. Right? Okay, how about this one? Oh, RFK Jr. He's this is hilarious. Just hilarious. Anti-science, dangerous, kids will die, untrustworthy, anti-CDC. You spread lies, monster, anti-vax. And what do we have? The men in the white coats, the lab rats. And in one pocket is big food, and Bernie holding up unvaxxed with the baby onesies, unafraid, unvaxxed, unafraid. Oh, and they're showing their anger. Isn't it amazing that they can show such anger when in reality, Robert F. Kennedy is just pointing out truth. He's just like, well, I'm just here to make sure everybody's healthy again. And big healthcare, Pocahontas and whoever these characters are. He's like, I need more coffee. It's hilarious. I actually saw a comedy piece where they threw in Bernie Sanders and Pocahontas here, Elizabeth Warren, and another character who I think he speaks with a lisp. Not to say anybody has a lisp. I'm not trying to make fun of anybody, but like that. But he talks with a lisp, and it was. I mean, I couldn't show it here on Lamb Network, but I'm telling you, I put it on my X. So if anybody wants to go to Sparky Taz on X, and you'll see, I posted a comedy skit that was done. Please, just remember, it's about the laugh, because it's about the insanity of it all. So if they did say some things that are a little bit on the edge, just forgive me for that. It's more of the showing the insanity of really what this is all about. And did you see Pocahontas, how she started to argue with Kennedy? Yeah, I know, it's really true. And she's trying to save the money she gets from pharma. I mean, yes, exactly right. Let's go on. Oh, did y'all see this one? I saw this one earlier this week, but it's kind of funny, because here's the guy with the gray paint. He's repainting the walls, because all over the walls, where was this at? This was at the FBI Academy there in Quantico, Virginia. And he is, of course, repainting the walls that have cooperativeness, fairness, leadership, compassion, all these different words. You think, well, that's pretty respect. Yeah, those are These are also good words, but in the middle of it, diversity, DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's what all this is on the wall. Wiping it out, because they're wiping it out, and it's a good thing. Talk about DEI. Have anybody have Netflix? Anybody watch? I don't watch the show, but of course, Netflix. You know who is big time producers of Netflix? Yeah, the Obamas. And so what influence do they have over Netflix? And well, here's one of the shows that they have on there. It's about Hakan Håkan. It's actually it's Håkan Jarl. Håkan Jarl. Håkan Jarl was a Viking warrior who ruled Norway from 975 to 995. He earned the title of Håkan the Powerful. Okay, so sound like the Swedish chef there. But he earned the title of Håkan the Powerful, and so naturally Netflix made him a black woman. No need to keep consistency with history over there on Netflix, but I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with a black woman or black actresses or anything. I'm not saying that at all, but in 975 to 995, I'm just saying that history would show that Håkon was definitely a Viking and male, and DEI over at Netflix. Just saying. It's kind of like there's a certain show, I don't remember what it was, about this British royalty, and of course at the time of that whole series that's being made, it's all fictional anyway. Is England was was white. It's just white. I mean, England is white. I mean, just like Kenya has black people in it. I mean, just everybody, depending on the continent you lived in, and with very, very small representation of the minorities that were in the area. But other than that, think historical accuracy is very important to me. And I'm not saying that you should inject a whole bunch of white people in historical African or Asian or history. I mean, if I go to watch a movie that's going to show, maybe history about the shoguns in Japan, the Empire of Japan, or the people of Japan, I would expect that it'd be all Japanese, right? That would make sense to me. Oh goodness. Here's a character here. I'm a nationalist. And how does CNN come back and say it? Breaking news, Trump says the N-word. Goodness. Good news over at CNN. Anybody remember Jim Acosta from the first generation? And the first generation, the first term of President Trump, which was what? It was Trump 45. Okay. So Jim Acosta was always in the press room, and he would grandstand his questions against President Trump, even to the point that President Trump would say, all right, enough of your questions. I want somebody else to talk, somebody else to ask a question. And he would hog the mic. He would hold the mic, and President Trump's assistant trying to get the mic from him, and she couldn't even get the mic from him because he would hog the question. Jim Acosta really got a bad label from that. And so all I can say is Jim Acosta. Then he got an anchor spot in a prime position over at CNN. And what did they do over at CNN? They demoted him. They sent him to like the midnight shift. The midnight shift at CNN. Who watches CNN who watches CNN? But with that set aside, who watches CNN at midnight? I certainly don't. And of course, he's like, I'm going to take my toys and go home. And so, why? Because he had poor ratings. He's very expensive. And probably it came with this midnight shift is it not only just, it's a demotion in time slot, but it's he probably got a pay cut. And so he's carrying out his box full of lies. And it shows a communist flag there, of course, and TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. Yeah, that's which he's fully he's fully immune to the truth, and he's wearing a dog collar, which is covered with poor ratings. So, and his thoughts, Trump's fault. It's all Trump's fault. It's Trump's fault that he lost his job. Yeah. Oh yeah, and it says he went over and he immediately launched the Jim Acosta show on Substack, and by all accounts was even worse than was expected. So anyway, goodbye, Jim. Nobody's going to watch you on your Substack. Maybe 3 people. I don't know. I'm not even going to look you up. I don't even want to know what you're saying because I know what you said before. Severe cutbacks at CNN. Yeah, because they're not making any money. It's amazing. They're a major news platform, and they just have a few, tens of thousands, maybe on better shows, maybe 100,000 people watching it. I mean, there's more media influencers that are bringing out real news, and real news insight than any of these major media platforms. But CNN, they had to cut back, and they're holding it's a jack. Remember jacks? It's holding up a tin can. Remember tin can? Remember those things? Talking the tin can. Listen, yeah, they don't even have money for a microphone anymore. Oh, yeah, certain people like to rewrite history to their liking. Yeah, like Jim Acosta. Oh, meanwhile, Katie Couric, remember her? Thinks that now that the White House has announced that it will be rotating press corps office space to include right-leaning news outlets, propaganda will commence. She said on her Substack, or no, on her X. She said, "Wow, this is how news becomes propaganda. It's begun. Pay attention." Propaganda. Katie Couric, yeah, who used to be the television host on the big 3 television network. She worked for all of them. And then she founded Katie Couric Media and producing content that's important, addresses important social issues like gender equality, environmental sustainability, and mental health. Okay, what did she say? The Pentagon has informed its resident press corps that NBC, the New York Times, NPR, National Public Radio, and Politico will rotate out of the building to give space to the New York Post, Breitbart, OANN, and the Huffington Post. Now, I was thinking about that. Huffington Post is more left-leaning, but nevertheless, they're not going to have, and they're not only do they lose their office space at the Pentagon, they can't even wander the halls like they used to. The news has been limited to the hallway from the entrance to the press room. That is the limitation given to the press. They're not even going to have access any longer to any of the interesting twists and leanings and schisms and all of that that would come, or the leaks from the Pentagon any longer. And how about this one? Let's see. Trump inviting influence to the White House press briefings is likely to usher in a new era of fake news. That's according to the conversation. And that's so funny. It's so hilarious. Oh no, the influencers are going to bring the fake news. Did you know that there were 10,000 influencers that actually applied for they crashed the website at the White House looking for press corps passes. 10,000 influencers. There's a lot of really good ones out there. And so, of course, all of the mainstream media, the dinosaur media, which has no more influence any longer, they're calling it, oh no, a new era of fake news is coming in. Whatever. This is kind of an interesting little thought. This is from GBN Live. Researchers, this is a headline for the day. Bob, where are you? Bob, I got a headline for the day. Got headlines for you. Researchers call for obesity to be renamed to avoid shaming people. What? Who needs memes when the headlines are so hilarious? What are they going to call what are they going to call? I mean, it's a physical condition. It's not to make fun of anybody that's dealing with issues with weight, because there's so many different things, especially within the things that Robert F. Kennedy wants to do, make America healthy again, because of all the junk, the seed oils and that type of thing that causes obesity. And that, we deal with that because of all the manufactured foods, and because of the chemicals and everything else they put in them. And the type of oils. I mean, I want some French fries with my burger, but they use seed oils, and all of that's damaging, causes major weight gain. Our body doesn't know what to do with it, so it just packs it on. Need to go back to the tallows, not pig, but beef tallows and stuff. Which, by the way, there's restaurants going to beef tallows, which is good. Much to the chagrin of the vegans out there, but I mean, what would they call them? What would they call, like, people with weight challenges? I don't know. They shut down the Department of DEI, so who knows what the people that are outside the realm of the new reality will start trying to call it. Anyway. All right. So if DEI, talking about DEI, is a good thing, then why do they get upset when you call someone a DEI hire? Oh, wait a minute. That's just common sense. But that's what everyone's thinking. If DEI is a good thing, then why do they get upset when you call someone a DEI hire? Okay. Well, yeah, here's some more common sense. It's dangerous to be right when the government is wrong. That was from Voltaire. And also, this illegal alien thingy can be fixed by what my daddy always said about stray cats. Stop feeding them and they'll go away. Well, daddy was right. Daddy was right. And of course, Thomas Sowell, he always has good things to say. This is a good shower thought of the day. You will never understand bureaucracies until you understand that for bureaucrats. Let me start that over. You will never understand bureaucracies until you understand that for bureaucrats, procedure is everything and outcomes are nothing. Well, Doge is knocking it out of the park. That is the Department of Government Efficiency. I mean, totally. They got access to the financial records to see who's getting paid what. And my goodness, they not finding stuff? They are really finding stuff. Okay. And there's more. Oh yeah, of course. There's talking about weight issues. Why not get a treadmill? It's almost time. Why not get a treadmill? And here's a guy, they're trying to sell him one. This is our deluxe model. It holds 5 pairs of slacks, 2 sweaters, 3 dresses, and an overcoat. All this equipment people buy this time of year because of the holiday poundage. So they get equipment and then end up use it for other purposes. And I love this sign. It says, does refusing to go to the gym count as resistance training? Does refusing to go to the gym count as resistance training? I have been experiencing too much resistant training and I need to get to the gym. Just saying. Call me childish, but beating the GPS time is an extreme sport for me. That's my world. No, seriously, that is my world. Call me childish, but beating the GPS time is an extreme sport for me. I do not have driving gloves, but okay, that's it. I did skip over a few, but you can check these out. Oh, okay. It's almost time. Democrats got a bicycle holding a stick. Not a good thing for this guy. He's representing Democrats. Kill all the chickens because bird flu is like sticking the stick in your sprocket and having a wipeout and then saying, why did Trump raise the price of eggs? Because when did they kill all the chickens? Under Biden. I did say that. And but they're blaming Trump for the price of eggs. That's it. I'm done. It's time for the Torah portion. We'll see you. We'll see you here on the other side.
Torah, 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 Torah.
Okay, I'm back. I've got a phone call. Had to pick that up real quick, but it's all good. And yeah, Torah Portion today. So I get to bring the Torah Portion because we're missing Eddie and Tammy. And those of you that follow along with us, by the way, Tammy sent out some notes from last year, maybe some things that'll definitely refresh, and so many things that are loaded within this week's Torah Portion. Well, this week's Torah Portion is called Beis Shalach. Beis Shalach. And let me pull that up as I disappear, phase in and out of the wall. And but I'm back. I'm back again. So yeah, this week's Torah Portion. I gotta pull this up real quick. Beis Shalach. And Beis Shalach is, pardon me if I not only just phase out, but if my computer kind of drops in and out. And I'm gonna pull this up, and 13, chapter 13. We're already at, we're a third of the way through Exodus right now. Exodus 13, verse 17 through chapter 17, verse 16. The half Torah portion is Judges 4 through 5:31. And over in the Brit Hadashah, one of the readings of the Brit Hadashah that corresponds with all of this is Matthew 14:22 through 33. So if you're looking to see what to be studying this week as we go through the week with the Torah portions and to culminate on Shabbat. By the way, anybody that's joining us on Shabbat, welcome. Glad to have you here on the Lamb Network. And my name is John Craig. And so we're studying out Beis Shalach right now here for the next few minutes that we have this time that we have together. And let me go and look. I got to look at one other thing while you're going to those scriptures, because we're going to go and we're going to look at these things. But I got to pull up a file. Yeah, where is that file? Where is that file? And going to pull that up because I have to shut down my computer, and then everything that I had pulled up disappears. And I got to pull them all up. But when we're on a time crunch, it doesn't necessarily always happen timely. Okay, Beis Shalach. I want to talk about Amalek today. Well, it's at the end. It's okay, let's go over there. Exodus. I got to pull it up in my Bible now. And Beis Shalach, by the way, means when he sent. It's that word. The root of that word is shalach, and which is to be sent out. So what did he do? He sent the people out. And let's go to 16. And let's go to, where were we? Beis Shalach, 13. And we get that from the beginning words of the Torah portion in chapter 13, verse 17. That's where we get the word Beis Shalach. And so they went out, or they went up, and in a martial array, as a Hamush, they're going in order, and they're leaving the land of Egypt. And in this Torah portion, not only do they leave the land of Egypt, but we find out who is leading them. Of course, we see that's Yahweh, and he's cloud by day and the fire by night. We know that, we understand that, and not only that is that Pharaoh begins to pursue them, and the people they're heading all the way down. And of all things, they didn't go by the way of the Philistines, or like up to the along the coastline. The most direct route back to the land. No, they didn't go that way because they weren't ready. And in fact, Yahweh says, I don't think they're ready, and I think they might turn back because they're not ready for battle. I mean, where would Pharaoh fight them, by the way? Where would the Egyptian army fight them? It's in the plains, in the flatlands. There's no place to hide, no place to go. So Yahweh leads them to a place where it seems like there's no place to hide, no place to go, but it is through this wadi that leads down to the Red Sea. It's like this cavernous place and a broad beach there, but it's really hemmed in. It's hemmed on one side. There's an Egyptian garrison up on the north. There's no place to go to the south, and all of these, maybe 4 million people. We know there's maybe 600,000 men, but we have women and children that are with them. They're going out here into this wilderness to be, and Pharaoh's hunting them down. And here they get to this place on the beach, and they have to go through this little canyon to get there. And here comes Pharaoh's army down this canyon to chase them, and they're stopped by the Red Sea. So I want to ask you the question: would it have been better for them to be in the plains, to be tracked down by this Egyptian army, to be run down, literally destroyed? They could have destroyed the people and then gathered them back up and bring them back to Egypt. Or by the fact that Yahweh could use the terrain with right there on the Red Sea to his advantage. And of course, we know the answer is yes, because Yahweh sets up a wall, the wall of his presence, where the cloud goes behind the people of Israel and blocks Egypt, blocks the Egyptian army there at the Red Sea. And of course, we know that the wind comes, and Moses stretches out his rod over the sea, and the sea parts, and the people cross through into safety. And of course, the Egyptians follow them. This is what this is part of this Torah portion is about. The great victory that takes place as the Egyptian army gets stuck in the middle and gets drowned. And of course, they come up on the other side, and they have the biggest praise party celebration on the other side, of course. And so that's part of it. But in the midst of all that, they get out there, they don't have any water, and so the grumbling starts, and Yah provides water, makes the bitter water sweet. And then of course they're hungry, they ran out of food from Egypt, and Yahweh provides for them manna and meat. And then they're taught about the Shabbat. The Shabbat is taught in this one. And then they also get water from the rock because they got thirsty again because they moved on. And so Moses strikes the rock and water flows out. A lot of water. And if you actually go and you can, because all this information is coming out as more and more of the archaeological information, and before it gets destroyed, they're documented photographically and all that from satellite and from people going on the ground all around Mount Sinai, where the altar was built, where the water flowed, all of that, the split rock, it's all there. And we're seeing that even history being proved out. And then this passage closes out where Amalek fights against them. So let's go to this Torah portion where I wanted to get. That's kind of a rough summary of this week's Torah portion. But let's look at some of these things about this launching to the promised land. Now, the promised land was meant, they were supposed to leave Egypt, but they had to go by the way of Mount Sinai. They had to go that way. Why? Because the bridegroom was waiting for them, did much to prepare the way, to provide for them. And look what happens in the midst of this provision is that it's not only what do we see in the Psalms? It talks about that even their sandals did not wear out in 40 years. The bridegroom whose provision is more than enough, which is like totally awesome, is he supplies, because in the role of the friend of the bridegroom is to check on the bride. So what's the friend of the bridegroom do? I mean, we see John, Yochanan, the one who is the voice calling in the wilderness. He's a representative. He says, he calls himself the friend of the bridegroom. Prepare the way of Yahweh. Prepare the way. But a bridegroom always goes to check on the bride. Once the wedding contract is signed, then there's a time of waiting while the bridegroom goes away to prepare a place for his bride. And in preparing for the bride, he's always checking on the bride, make sure she has everything that she would possibly need. And, so how are your clothes? Do you need some jewelry? Would you like how about some finer things? Well, what did the friend of the bridegroom do? We say maybe it's the Holy Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh, the provision of Yahweh for the bride, even while she was in slavery. What happened when they looted the Egyptians? They plundered the Egyptians, so she was able to have wealth that she carried out with her from Egypt. Then along the way, the friend of the bridegroom, supplies water, supplies food. I mean, we can see that as maybe Moses as being that representative, supplying food, supplying water, making sure that everything they had. And then we see this is over in chapter 15, verse 26. It says, and he said, if you will give earnest heed to the voice of Yahweh, your Elohim, and do what is right in his sight, and give ear to his commandments, and keep all of his statutes, I will put none of the diseases on you, which I have put on the Egyptians, for I, Yahweh, am your healer. Whoa. Isn't this amazing? And in the Psalms, David records for us that there were no sick among them. So their shoes didn't wear out, and their sandals didn't wear out, and there was no sick among them. This is like all of the provisions of the bridegroom, from the bridegroom to the bride. And so if you're dealing with these type of things, the promises are here because we are in the wilderness. We are waiting to meet our bridegroom at Mount Sinai, and we are waiting to be brought out of this place, this Egypt, the land of slavery, and into that promised land. And guess what? He's making provision, and healing is part of our provision in the wilderness. So some of you are like, why do you pray for healing? Some people say, well, that healing died out in the first century when all the apostles died. No, it's not true. It's not true, because what he did for them, he'll do for us, because he's not a respecter of persons. Okay, that's not the whole purpose of the Torah portion today. And I've already blown through half of my time. So let's look at some of these things about the wilderness, this preparation to launch into the promised land. But we have to be launched. In order to be launched, we have to make sure that everything is in place, ready to go, right? And so they go to this place. It's called Meribah. And it says it's a place of contention or quarreling. It's the place of no water, and it's also we also have Masa, which is which means testing. So the place of testing and quarreling. And in order to come out of the test, we got to stop quarreling. And yet we have this issue. The chief complaint is that is the source of food. Or literally, what is food? I mean, that's the question, is because one is life and one's a trap. And so think about Big Pharma, and think about what R.F. Kennedy is wanting to do. So, you guys are making money off of something that's not food. I mean, really, seriously, think about that. So what is food? And the food is the source of life. And that is absolutely has to be Yeshua. So in Beishalach, we see this whole it's connecting this whole idea of water in the rock with the battle against Amalek. I mean, this is one of the themes that I've found in here. And so over to Exodus 17, 6, it says, behold, I will stand before thee upon the rock in Horeb, and thou shalt smite the rock, and there shall come water out of it, that the people may drink. And Moses did so in the sight of the elders of Israel. So we have that idea, that concept. And in verse 7, it says, and he called the name of the place Massah and Meribah, because of the children of Israel, because they tempted Yahweh, saying, is Yahweh among us or not? So now wait a minute. That whole idea that is Yahweh among us, or is that what the Hebrew really says? Does the Hebrew say that Yahweh is among us, or what does the Hebrew literally translate to? It literally translated to Yahweh, is Yahweh within us or not? Or let's look at the concept of another way to look at it. They're saying that Yahweh is not non-existent. Yahweh is got a double negative. Not supposed to do that, are we? But literally it means that Yahweh is not non-existent. So when they're saying it's not that he's among us or not, as if there's no personal relationship, but he's kind of there. But is Yahweh within us or not? Or is Yahweh not non-existent? Is he not non-existent within us? Where do we put our trust? Because we're taking a look at Amalek, and when they're saying, is he within us or not within us? Because this is important in the battle of against Amalek. I mean, it's this connector from this place of Massah and Meribah to this place of battling Amalek. So I believe that Yahweh's teaching us that we're not only aware of where we are, but his strength is within them. And what's he teaching us? Is his strength available, or is his strength within us? That how are we going to be able to fight his battles is the question. We do that by his divine presence. This is what they're learning. It's by his divine presence, because without him, they're alone. But with him, they'll never, ever be alone. So this is a lesson that needs to be learned, and is revealing something to us. Deuteronomy 31:8, in Moses' last words, in 31:8, it says, and Yahweh, he is the one who goes before you. He will be with you. He will not leave you nor forsake you. Do not fear nor be dismayed. So what are we looking at? That's connecting us from this outpouring from the rock to these attacks from Amalek. Amalek, how does that translate roughly? It's the people of the valley. Remember Lot? Lot chose to dwell with the people of the valley, even though that was not Amalek at the time. But where did Lot choose to go? With the people of the valley, Sodom and Gomorrah, Amalek, the people of the valley. There's a connection here. These are not good people. And of course, throughout Scripture, we see this that showing that Amalek is the enemy of the people. And what is their purpose? Amalek has a purpose, because we're going to face Amalek in every generation. And so we're learning something, that the goal of Amalek, the people of the valley, is to disrupt the divine purpose. Disrupt the divine purpose. Deuteronomy 25:17 says, remember that Amalek and what Amalek did to you on the way as you were coming out of Egypt, how he met you on the way and attacked your rear ranks, all the stragglers at your rear, when you were tired and weary, and you did not fear Elohim. Amalek, so keep this in mind, Amalek chose to attack Israel between Egypt and Mount Sinai, at a most vulnerable point in the journey. So when we're looking at this, I mean, think about this. They haven't gone to Mount Sinai. We receive this command that if you will earnestly heed to the voice of Yahweh your Elohim and do what is right in his sight and give ear to his commandments and keep all his statutes, I will put none of the diseases on you which I have put on the Egyptians, for I, Yahweh, am your healer. So think about this. Like, wait a minute. The statutes, the regulations, the Ten Commandments, they haven't been given yet. They got to get to the mountain. And yet there's this theme when we understand that the Torah has always been with them, but this whole contract, the wedding contract, this it's not been sealed. The deal has not been sealed. They've got to say, I do, right? And Amalek is trying to prevent and disrupt the divine purpose and the divine process in their life. And so Amalek is attacking before the words of life are given. There is attacking to kill, to steal, and destroy this vulnerable place. They got to hurry up and they got to get to the mountain. And because it is that key process of the journey that'll allow them to enter into the land, if they will heed the voice of Yahweh. The whole idea that these generational curses attack the promises, and that's where we are today. Generational curse. These things are brought down. Why? Because they are to attack the divine purposes and the divine processes that Yah is wanting to do in our life. We all need to get to the mountain. And yet we've been given the Torah. But we all need to get to that place. And I'm preaching to the choir to this, to say I do. But the people will suffer until the full realization of the idea I do is made manifest. But even in the process where the friend of the bridegroom will still make provision. So we have in Exodus 17, 8 through 13, this whole Amalek deal. And Moses, Aaron and Hur, they go to the top of the hill. Joshua is a picture of Yehoshua. He's a picture of Yeshua leading the armies down below. Where Moses, Aaron, and Hur at the top of the mountain, and Moses being that representation of Yeshua on top of the mountain, who have the representation of the host of heaven's armies down at the bottom of the hill, Moses at the top of the hill. That's an idea. Yeshua is in the valley and he's on the mountain. Also, we see that Yeshua is a prophet like unto Moses. We see that within the Brit Hadashah, that Yeshua is a prophet. We see that in Deuteronomy as well. That Yahweh would raise up a prophet like unto Moses. Definitely a connection. Yeshua is the tree of life. We see him as the tree of life. And Moses is at the top of the mountain standing like a tree in his humanity. In his humanity, he's becoming weak, but he's standing like a tree, like the tree of life. And then as long as his arms like branches are outstretched, then we see that Joshua in the valley prevails over Amalek. But we see that also like Yeshua in his humanity is left in this place that he grows weak upon the tree, the cross, the tree that's on the hill, where he is ultimately the sacrifice for us. We see a lot of parallels going on here. Moses' arms outstretched, they grow weary. So he looks for help against a generational fight against Amalek, this enemy of our souls. And Aaron and Hur is supporting the branches, are holding them up, and they are working together. Moses, like the Torah, Joshua, like Yeshua, working together, working as a team. Aaron and Hur holding up his arms like a team, this team process. Because why? Because Yahweh always enlists people who are willing to be part of the divine process, even to their hurt. Amalek also means dweller in a valley. In Hebrew, interesting enough, Amalek has a pronunciation connection that sounds like I will be king. Amalek. I will be king. Thus, Amalek is that picture of Hasatan. And all of those who oppose Yah's people and the plan that is to be worked out through the people. Amalek, Hasatan, fighting. Isaiah says it this way in Isaiah 14:13, for you have said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars. I will also sit on the mount of the congregation on the farthest sides of the north. That is Amalek's, the process, Hasatan, working against the people. Aaron, whose name means light bringer, he's the brother of Moses, a Levite, first high priest. He's kin to Moses. In other words, they share the same blood. So we get this revelation of light. Light is blood with the tree of life. Remember, I just said Moses is the representation of the tree of life. There's this blood connection between Aaron and Moses. And so the revelation of light, Aharon, with the tree of life, there's a blood connection between light and Torah. Light and Torah, blood and the tree. Interesting thought there. We cannot have the Torah stand alone without the revelation shining on it, because in it is the blood that flows down from the tree. And how are we doing on time? Oh, just running short. So Matthew 16, 17, and 18 says, and Yeshua answered and said unto him, Blessed art thou, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in heaven. And I say also unto thee that thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. Remember, what is it? The rock, this revelation. That is what we're talking about. Aaron bringing light, revelation to the word, to the Torah. And Matthew 23, 2 says, saying the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. Matthew and verse 3 says, all therefore whatsoever they bid you observe, that observe and do. But do not do you after their works, for they say and do not do. In other words, what they do, their pathway of life, don't follow in their pathway, but listen and hear and do this word. Okay, I'm out of time. Hor, which is her. We would say her. It has a double meaning. It means whole, but it also means white cloth or white staff. It's a connection here. And that's also holding up Moses' hand, because Yahweh seated on the rock, this rock, the judgment seat, supported by the light of revelation, and clothing us in the white linen garments, that the white cloth, the white stuff. That's what Hor means. That's lifting up Moses' hands. We're out of time. It's really cool. I'm glad you could be with me on this Shabbat and continue. We're going to jump over to the uncensored news here, things that you've been waiting for, and things are, oh, wow. Okay, y'all be with us. Thank you for being part of this week's Torah Portion. And until next time, shalom.
Torah, HaTorah, Torah. HaTorah, HaTorah, Torah. HaTorah, HaTorah, Torah. HaTorah, HaTorah, Torah.